Now welcome to another edition of News from Naboo with Thor's Lightning Takes. And let's get right to the news.
Okay, we'll start out with Andor today. The showrunner, Tony Gilroy, says the structure for Season 2 is perfect for television.
That's good because it's going to be on television.
Well, not really.
Well, sort of. Just a streaming count as television? I don't even know.
I don't really know.
I think most people kind of
It kind of does because it has a
television.
release schedule. Not like Netflix where they dump it all in one day so it doesn't feel as much like television.
Yeah, it is and it isn't because you do obviously watch it at home on your television, yet it doesn't abide by the normal rules for a lot of television shows, I guess. And I mean that in a lot of different ways.
Okay. Well, let's move on to the actual article.
Sure, yeah, otherwise I'll get off on I'll ramble about that for 20 minutes.
Too much, too fast. So Total Film Magazine did an interview with the Andor showrunner, Tony Gilroy, about plans for Season 2. They also spoke with Diego Luna, who, as we know, is playing Cassian. The magazine released 2 new images as well from first season, which I'm definitely going to be putting up for you. First one's probably already there. We'll start with Gilroy. He spoke again about how the show is it's going to be 2 seasons instead of the original 5. Season 1 covering 1 year, that year being 5 BBY. And Season 2 will cover the last 4 years leading up to the events of Rogue One. Season 2 will be set up in blocks of 3 episodes, each one covering 1 year respectively. But here's the quote from Gilroy, I think explaining the exact same thing. We have 4 blocks of 3 episodes coming up for Season 2, and each block will move you 1 year closer to Rogue One. And because it's a year, each time we can do something really fascinating narratively that you would never have the chance to do in a film. It's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I've said. I think Star Wars is perfectly suited for the long-form storytelling. Don't get me wrong. Star Wars movies are great, but there's something about just being able to slow down a story and, dig into the characters. One of the things that works for Star Wars in the films is a lot of times it doesn't kind of do that. It just throws you into the story. You obviously come to care for the characters, don't get me wrong, but I have my fingers crossed because even like The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett, they've had a kind of a different format. It hasn't been, it's been a very streamlined, singular story, and this is going to be something completely different, it looks like.
See, I don't know how I feel about the compacting of so much time. 1 year and 3 episodes. How are they going to do this? How are they telling the story? That's what's important. The time jumps need to feel natural, but they need to be evident. Are we just going to start out with every episode telling you what year it is? Are we just going to cover one big, one major event during that year? How is this format going to work?
I think you bring up a really good point because even saying, 5 BBY to your average Star Wars fan, that's a couple letters and a number. That doesn't, that obviously before the Battle of Yavin, that's kind of the standard.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in universe, but out of universe. That's kind of how Star Wars fans describe when things happen. Mm-hmm. Before that first movie, essentially. How many years before or after. So even saying anything on screen isn't necessarily going to mean anything. And I've said before, I know people who saw Rogue One and were utterly confused. Like, when does this take place? And I'm like, did you want it? Leads right into that first movie. And even after seeing it, they didn't really kind of understand. So,
well, see, it's confusing because, like I said, 3 episodes are going to cover 1 year. And how much of that year are we going to see? Are we just seeing one major event played out in that year? How are we going to know it's moved on to the next year? Or is it going to be like every episode is expanding on a huge time frame encompassing an entire year? Are we going to get that read across very well in an audience, or are we going to watch the whole series and think it was just one big period of time?
There's part of me that, assuming the first season is really good, that hopes they just kind of rethink it and say, okay, first season, hugely successful. Everybody liked the slower style of storytelling and more characters that we'll call it Game of Thrones-esque kind of, storytelling where you got lots of different things going on all over the place all the time. Maybe they do change their mind and say, let's draw out the next 4 seasons. I don't know how much of that second season is in progress, if you will.
Well, that moves us on to our next little topic in here. Total Film also confirmed Season 2 begins filming in November. So it's already written.
Okay, well, they can still scrap it. There's still time.
There's still time.
Like I said, I'm really, really hopeful that for this series. I know I'm that, that person who just keeps going back and like, oh, it's going to get good this time. This could be, like I said, this could fit Star Wars extremely well. Like Clone Wars, I think, anthology style, that fits Star Wars extremely well. I think there's just certain formats that I'm like, yeah, that could work for Star Wars. And this, to me, is something, I would have preferred to like an Old Republic kind of Game of Thrones style show. But this kind of time period is a little less interesting because we know where it all goes, how it all ends.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I think this could work really well. I think this is the show we've been kind of waiting for, assuming well written, good, all that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is perfect for Star Wars. So I have high hopes that this kind of sets a trend and a tone that, okay, we can be a little more mature at times with Star Wars. We can kind of tell a longer story. We don't always have to be, let's take that one character and tell, like I said before, like that singular story with them. Let's do something a little bigger.
All right, when they spoke with Diego Luna, he's very excited for a series to come out, as to be expected. And, he talked about, that coming out, the filming of the next season, and he said, it's a beautiful moment. We're getting ready. Things are being written and questioned, going back and forth. It's beautiful to live that process from beginning to end, Then he went on to explain how the Cassian we're going to meet in the first episode is very different from the loner we meet in Rogue One. It says a lot that his best friend in the movie is a droid, or his only friend, I should say. But in the show, we're going to start with someone who's very different from the quiet, lonely man we meet in Rogue One. We're so far away from that in the first season, there's a whole journey for us to explore. Very interesting. I mean,
yeah, and he's not saying exactly what that... Does he got a lot of friends back in the day? Is that what he's saying? Man. Or is he... Yeah, he's like the party-going kind of, extrovert guy out there. No, I don't think that's what he means exactly, but...
Well, we're just about to the 1 month mark. We're really close. I mean, it comes out September 21st.
It's supposed to be out in like 2 weeks, but hey.
Don't go there. We're not going there.
But you do bring up an interesting thing. I mean, K2, will this first season suffer without him? I think a lot of people who don't know the wiser are going to be like, well, where's K2?
Where's K2?
He was kind of the best part of Rogue One for some people. So, and also, I mean, if you're really going to do this really good story in season 1, this slow-paced story, I really hope season 2 isn't like, let's just rush it to the finish line.
That's going to be the tricky part.
I don't know. It's like, it almost feels like Lucasfilm spent so much time and effort into this project already that they're like, okay, well, we got to make it now. We've been talking about this thing for 5 years. We've been invested so much money, so let's make sure we do it. And we don't have any real confidence that it's going to be that big, so we want to finish it, yes, but we don't have confidence that it's going to be successful. So just make a condensed season 2. Like I said, I hope somehow, some way, it's fantastic, and we just take the time. And I know it's a time period we don't need a story in per se, but I don't know. I hope it's a trendsetter. I hope this is a sign of what Star Wars can become in the future, especially on Disney+.
All right, I'm going to cut off Thor's ramble there.
Yeah, I know. I'm hopeful.
There's more stuff to get through.
I know. I always get accused of, like, oh, you hate everything Star Wars. God, I couldn't be any more untrue. Like, I am so... My fingers are literally crossed right now that this series is good. I want this to be good.
Andor, a new image reveals Kathryn Hunter's character. Kyle Solar praises Tony Gilroy's writing. Total Film magazine released another new image from Andor. It was like a little Andor special, it seems like, that features Kyle Solar as Cyril Karn and Kathryn Hunter as Cyril's mother, Edie Karn. Cyril is an Imperial Security Bureau officer who has a possessive obsession with Cassian Andor, as he recently had told SFX magazine. Try saying that one 3 times fast. Total Film also had a few words with the actor. He spoke about the relationship between, him and his mother. He doesn't have a father. He was raised by his mother, who's sort of like a stage mother from hell. He has an extreme sense of need to impress and fill a hole in himself. And so that is really about ascending to the top of whatever field he's in. The field he's chosen is one of restriction and complete control, and one of domination. I think we've been able to thread that through with the scenes that Cyril has with his mother. I find that extremely interesting. A stage mom, like that mom who is constantly pushing you because, maybe they have unfulfilled aspirations of their own, and they're pushing, like that show Dance Moms.
I've never seen it, but I can assume how crazy that thing is. Yes.
But I find it very interesting. They're like beauty pageant mothers who are, they start by like almost forcing their kid into doing it because they want.
Well, we kind of know someone like that, don't they?
We do.
Who kind of, it's like, oh my God, your kid doesn't. Let's not get into that. Yeah.
Yes, we do know someone who put their kids through the beauty pageant stuff.
Yeah, it's just weird.
It is weird.
Like, kids do what they want to do.
But it's interesting because it gives you a more complete image of who this character is, I feel. To have that mom who's constantly probably making you feel guilty, and that you constantly need to do better because they need you to do better. You need to impress them. You can't feel yourself. You can't be who you are without their approval. And you desperately want it so bad that you'll do anything for it.
Yeah, kids are extremely impressionable. And, I mean, there's no more important job in this world than a parent and getting your children down the right path. Mm-hmm. And, again, I could probably ramble tangent that one, too. But I don't know. I mean, it's weird because this seems so... I think this just tells you how kind of off the beaten path the show could go. That this seems to have nothing to do with Andor or even I'm sure it's going to tie into the... Yeah, I know. I mean, it just shows you that there are going to be a lot of different characters and aspects to the show. It's going to be, I don't know, it's going to be unlike anything I think we've seen in Star Wars before. And again, fingers crossed.
Right. Solar also gave ample praise to Tony Gilroy. He said, Tony wrote this incredible tapestry of life. It's really Dickensian in its scope and its achievement. I'm only, of course, speaking from Ciro's trajectory, but he then brings it down to incredibly personal, incredibly small domesticity, and almost turning it into a Pinter play. And it's nothing I've sort of seen in a Star Wars movie before, the combination of action and mystery and intrigue, and then you have these incredibly unique personal stories coming through. We don't know much about Cyril Karn as of yet. He's only really in a few frames of the trailer. But Kyle Solar is being promoted by Lucasfilm as one of the lead actors of the show, so I'm kind of assuming it's a bigger role.
Must be.
Yeah. I mean, if he's got some sort of obsession with Andor, I can see him almost tracking Andor through these 5 years leading up to Rogue One.
Well, we know he doesn't kill him. He doesn't get him in the end, but... No, I mean, like I said, it's interesting because it seems like we are having... Like I said, it's more of a character study. It's more of a, it's not your classic Star Wars, which could be good, could be bad. We'll have to see, but it certainly has me excited. It does.
It sounds very interesting, yeah. I'm totally for that.
All right, well, that's all we got for you this time. So take to the comments below and tell us what you think of Andor. The more you hear about it, the more excited you get, or does this just not sound like Star Wars to you? I don't know. I mean, it's only my opinion when I say I want Star Wars to be a little more, like I've said before, mature and a little more complex. Yes, I love the Star Wars films, and I think when you put a Star Wars film out there, maybe it should be a little more, fun, action-packed, like a lot of the films kind of tend to be. But anyway, I'm rambling again, so take to the comments below. Tell me what you think. Let's talk some Star Wars, and until next time, thanks for watching.